What's going on, guys? This is week number 2 for my book reviews that I'm doing throughout 2017 now. Week number 2, I actually knocked out 2 books this week. The plan was originally just to knock out Red Letter Revolution, but I blasted through it and got through Killing Lions, which was going to be the following week. Anyway, it ended up really cool because both of these books are attempting to talk to millennials. So although they weren't written in the exact same fashion, they have a lot of similarities and cover a lot of the same topics. And they do that definitely indirectly, but just in a roundabout way because millennials are concerned about some of the same things. Before I jump into that, just let me recap on my week. I got 99% of the edits done for Josh and the Sock Army. One thing with that was I actually did, to do all the edits, I did, when you write them out, it's a better way to explain it. When you correct a comma, you have to write the entire sentence, put the paragraph, the page, the line, put what correction you would like to make, so like add comma, and then write out the new sentence, all just to change a comma. So each one takes forever. I did them all and got to the very end of the page and then read in like super fine print that if I had over X amount of corrections that I needed to submit a manuscript. So everything that I did was like negated, and I had to go back and just submit an original manuscript, which really sucked because I wasted a lot of time and I was not a happy camper about midweek, but I got it done. And next week we should have a final day for when those books come in. I actually get to edit a video this week, which is one of my favorite things to do. I do a wilderness trek every year with my brother and his wrestling team, and I've been videotaping each trek, but I've never gotten around to actually putting the video together and getting it online. So I'm going to put it together, I'm going to get it online hopefully next week, but I was pumped to do that. And then one of the exciting things that I did is I met with a group, and I think I told you guys a little bit about this last week. I met with a group called Awaken Worship, and I'm going to team up with them, and we're going to try to throw together a possible mini tour this summer coming up. It's all going to be fairly local, but we're trying to hit up at least 50 different shows in the area. So I'm pretty pumped about that. Next week, we're definitely going to release officially Far North. Talk to the studio about that. Got that all set up. And I have to finalize recording dates. A lot of the stuff that I'm doing right now with my time is still trying to finish up the album by April 5th, which is my deadline. But to the books. So I started reading Red Letter Revolution. I was super excited about this book. I had heard really good things. One of the authors, Shane Claiborne, he writes another book called Irresistible Revolution, which I read in one of my college courses. Thought that book was great. Had some amazing ideas of thinking outside the box when it comes to religiosity and holding firm like Levitical law and all these things that we think we have to do. And obviously you guys know I run a music ministry called #More Than Rules, so I kind of relate to that type of thinking. From chapter 1 to chapter 12, the book had like a really, not slow start, but a good push towards what I thought it was going to be about. And I was super excited, and it was kind of like building me up to this point right around chapter 13. And then in chapter 13, it just takes like a crazy left-handed turn into a political soapbox for the entirety of the rest of the book. It was an extreme disappointment. It's two of my favorite topics, religion and politics. I love talking about it, but the way it was approached in this book felt like if you don't do it this way, you're either stupid or you don't really love people or you don't really love Jesus. And it was more of an attack on certain groups of people rather than a opinion piece or a suggestion of how we can make things better. There were some amazing things in the book. I don't want to take away from the book. And a little disclaimer, you can tell by the first 12 chapters that both Shane and Tony Campolo, they love people, they love God, and they want to do good for humanity. So I'm not taking a shot at them saying that they have something against humanity. They definitely love Jesus. They definitely love people. But the whole thing from chapter 13 on just felt forced for me. It didn't. There was a lot of contrasting ideas. Like at one point he said, "We have no place for guns," which is fine. I come from a hunting family, so I didn't really relate to that, but I can understand how people would see we have no place for guns. But then, like 2 chapters later, he quotes the Constitution: when a government gets too big and out of control, it's the right of the people to overthrow it. And I'm thinking to myself, like, didn't you just say we have no need for guns? And now you're like 2 chapters later, you're talking about overthrowing a government. Like, I don't even know where your head was with that. There was just a lot of different contrasting ideas in the book, and I don't think all the ideas are well intentioned, but I don't think they were fully thought out through on how to accomplish them. The second book, ironically, touches on a lot of the same things. Like I said, both books are talking directly to millennials, and they're both written in the same fashion. You have one millennial talking to an older gentleman. In Killing Lions, it happens to be Sem Eldridge, which is John Eldridge's son, and he's writing to John Eldridge and just kind of getting a feel for some of the questions that millennials have, like how do I operate in today's business world, and I'd rather make an impact than make money, and how do you answer some of those questions? And I thought Killing Lions did an amazing job of answering all those questions that were addressed in Red Letter Revolution. And he did it in such a graceful and such a two-sided and two-opinioned way that he wasn't stepping on his son's toes, being a millennial and being a little free-thinking when it comes to religion or religiosity. He wasn't stepping on his toes at all, but he was giving helpful suggestions on how to operate. Regardless of if I like a book or not, I can always find something brilliant about it. And one of the best things about Red Letter Revolution was in the very first 12 chapters, he tells a story of Billy Graham, who is an evangelical, a huge influence in a religious community. And Billy Graham is actually at a monastery, and he's talking to or he sees a monk, and this monk is meditating, and he gets this feeling that he feels that God's telling him to go tell the monk about Jesus, right? Because obviously these monks they've never heard the true story, and they don't really know what religion is, right? According to Billy Graham and most evangelicals and most religious people. So he goes over there and he starts telling this monk about Christ and what Christ did for him. And as he's telling this monk about Christ, the monk starts tearing up. And Billy Graham's thinking, man, dude, this monk really is getting the message of Christ. He's really understanding it. So afterwards, he asks the monk, hey, do you want to receive Christ? And the monk, his English isn't very good, and he doesn't quite understand. He says, I don't think I can receive Christ. Billy Graham is like, oh, no, you don't understand. Christ is for everyone. And the monk said, no, I don't think you understand. The word you're using, receive him. I can't receive him because he already lives inside of me. As you were telling me the story of Christ, the man who lives inside of me spoke to me and said, that is me. I didn't know all the things about him until you told me, but I know that that is him. And it was this really cool story to just show that beyond religion, God has the ability to talk to people who have never heard the gospel, who have never heard our religiosity. And that was an amazing story. That's what I was expecting from Red Letter Revolution. After that, when it took its political turn, that's what I was disappointed on. Killing Lions, the best part about that book was the phrase, there was a couple different phrases, and some of them repeated from his other books that I love about him, about John Eldredge, one of the authors, was fear. Fear is the biggest danger to a young man's life. But remember, not everybody kills lions. And it was the idea that in a lot of tribes, the rite of passage for men is to physically kill a lion. And part of our problem here in this culture is we don't have any lions to kill, for men to feel like men. And we have no mountains to climb. We have nothing for validation. And this book talks a lot to millennials, and even being, I'm 31, it spoke to me a lot. It spoke a lot to how to find validation in the things that you do, how to find purpose in the life that you live, and how to find meaning in your work and your toil and all the above. So as far as rating, Red Letter Revolution is going to get like a 1.5 or a 2. I feel like the majority of the book was just a soapbox. So it wasn't for me, but I still got something out of it. Killing Lions, if the last name Eldredge is on the book, you can give it 4.5 immediately. This one was 4.5, 5 stars. Always killing it. Next week, I'm going to be doing a finance book. We're going to do Finance Your Own Business by Garrett Sutton. Yeah, by Garrett Sutton Esquire. He's got a fancy last name, so it better be good. That's it. That's all I got for you guys for this live review. And again, challenge yourself, guys. We're 2 weeks into 2017. My goal was 5 books a month, more than 50 books a year. As long as I keep this up, I'm going to crush it. Feel free to hop on with questions about the book if you guys ended up reading it. I had a couple people shoot me some messages over the week on the last book that I did. So just keep it coming. Talk to you guys soon.